Okay, guys, I think we landed here. All right, so I had to put Canine Rambo down. He was 17 years old and wound up moving to Florida um, with Canine Sprint. Sprint, I think, got bit by a snake and wound up dying. I couldn't afford a necropsy at the time, so uh, I was down here for a short period of time and then moved back up to Missouri, and it's a long story. But anyway, when I moved back down permanently, I moved to Lake City, and because I couldn't afford the $2,000 to go through the comparative compliance course, I wound up um, getting into corrections with the Florida Department of Corrections, and I worked. I went through what was considered the pilot program, the Cobra program, so Correctional Officer Basic Recruit Academy. So part of that was done in the classroom, and the rest of it was done on the compound. You learn as you go. And while I was doing that, I was working as a CO at Columbia CI. Come on. So after a year at Columbia CI, I was allowed to transfer, and I wound up transferring down to Glades. Don't ask me why. Personal things. But when I went to Glades CI, I was there for about a year, and that's how long I had to wait in order to be able to. Um, I was encouraged to become a sergeant because they wanted to throw me into the training building and actually start teaching the Cobra program down at Glades. So I wound up being, I went through the process for promotion, and as soon as I got promotion, 2 days later, I was being sent to the instructor course, how to be an instructor. As soon as I got that, I started up the Cobra program for Glade CI, which meant I had to do all of the paperwork and put everything together. I had to put I had to do evaluations on the other sergeants that were working with me, and then I had to do evaluations on the recruits. I think we had 30 recruits and 6 sergeants, so there was five recruits per sergeant, and it was my responsibility to make sure that all of the paperwork was done. Um, so while I was doing that, I started talking to the Palm Beach County, or not Palm Beach County, but Palm Beach State College. But at the time, it was Palm Beach Community College. It was before they became state, and I started teaching their correction. Doing the Cobra program, I was in conjunction with working as an adjunct when I first started, and as I was going through, I was a training with being the training sergeant for Glades. I had gone through the firearms, defensive tactics. That would beat the living crap out of me. Um, I went through first aid, and then vehicle ops was later on, after I got hired on with Palm Springs. Everything was on top of everything else. I was working as an adjunct. As I was working as a training sergeant, I was traveling to other parts of the state to teach defensive tactics or firearms. I was also going up to Tallahassee because I was a subject matter expert on, excuse me, inmate manipulation, and wound up putting together a 40-hour training program on inmate manipulation. You can find my name through FDLE. Just look up the training, the actual course. Um, so then when I went through the corrections academy, and then I went through the BLE crossover so I could become a police officer in the state of Florida, and I was an adjunct instructor for Palm Beach State College. And when I retired from Glade CI, um, and I started working for Palm Springs not part time, but as a reserve. They actually made a position specifically for me because they didn't. I was making enough money working as an adjunct that I didn't have to get paid with Palm Springs. I really wasn't interested in going full time with them yet. Um, but then some paperwork happened with some people that had bad attitudes. My law enforcement career has not been easy. And the last time I picked up a leash was when I was with G4S Secure Solutions. That was Canine Andy. This is another reason I have an issue with civilian trainers. Canine Andy was a Schutzhund 3 trained dog that the owner, I can't remember what the heck her name is right off the top of my head, but she was leasing the dog out to G4S. And Canine Andy was the sweetest thing, really smart dog. She would not come and do any kind of in-house training, so I had to keep Andy up on his training. I had to keep him up on his vet records. I had to train the other handlers because they didn't know what the heck they were doing. I think that the canine handler part was all of a week, maybe, or 8 hours. I don't even know. I think it was eight. I think it was a week down there with her, and it was laying tracks with flags and all kinds of shit that I you know I don't want to do that kind of stuff. That's not. I don't train for Schutzhund. I train for law enforcement. But sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to get a job. So that was Canine Andy and I worked together for quite a while. This is my baby. In the meantime, I was working as a reserve for Palm Springs, and this is my own personal dog, Geist. Um, Geist I would use on occasion for the Palm Beach Fairgrounds whenever they requested, because I would take him in and do building clearing, like the convention center. And then in 2015, well, 2014, my mom got very sick, and she died in 2015, January 2015. And by August 4th, I was completely paralyzed, basically completely paralyzed, and I was in the hospital for 10 months, and I had to relearn how to do everything. Walking, brushing my own hair, everything. I had to relearn how to do it all. And this was the last that Canine Andy and I worked together. We stopped at McDonald's every single day to get him an ice cream cone. They didn't. The people at McDonald's knew who we were. I always got an iced coffee, vanilla iced coffee, and he always got the ice cream cone. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I know that I've got people that are saying that I don't have any experience and that I don't know what I'm doing, but you can't walk into Florida Department of Corrections and become the training sergeant if you don't have any experience. I mean, they literally, within 2 years of me working, and the only reason it took that long is because I had to wait a year before I could transfer, and then I had to wait a year after I transferred in order to get uh, promoted, and it just took off from there. But you know, I have worked with civilian trainers that think that they're training dogs for police work or whatever. So I know what I'm talking about when I tell you that these guys are nothing but frauds. They buy they buy dogs from overseas for about $2,000, bring them here and pass them off as something that they did, and then you know they're charging hundreds of thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars for the same shit that you could have bought from direct from the trainers over there in Germany for 5,000, maybe 2,000, 2,500, something like that. So I don't want to hear any more shit about you don't have any experience, all that kind of crap. I grew up with this. And until you have the ability of showing me the dogs that you've trained and the time that you put in, I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear it. Because if I'm doing a breakdown of a video and I'm telling you that this is a fraud, this is bullshit, it's because I know it is. Been there, done that, worked them on the road, trained my own. So here you go. It's a lifetime of experience and a very abbreviated story. For all of you haters out there, this is my favorite t-shirt that I've ever owned. Stupidity is not a crime. You're free to go.